Welcome, everybody. I'm really glad to see you here this evening. I'm Cynthia Cutting, and I'm the director of the Museum of the White Mountains. And this is usually my absolute favorite opening or talk is really this exhibit. Every year I look forward to it. It's such a celebration of these amazing artists, and the energy that is in that room is just so compelling. So first of all, I want to say to all the artists, I'm just so amazed by your work and so proud to be presenting it for you. And I'm hoping that you're getting chances to go see and take photos of your work in this professional space. We're really, really glad to be doing it. It's always like Christmas. Every year, the Juried show is we never know how it's going to be and what's going to arrive in the door, and it's just always a real joy. So this annual exhibit is a Plymouth State tradition, and it celebrates all levels of achievement in the visual arts at Plymouth State. It is open to not only art students, but to anyone on campus who makes art, and they can submit it. So submission for this exhibit began in the fall, and students began uploading, all digital this year, their pictures of their work. And all these artworks come in, they become this big bank of art. And then we always have two jurors, two judges that we ask to go through the work and make selections. It's always kind of important that it's a juried show because it makes it really, it's part of the real world of art being selected, which is part of the process. And also kind of is an aspiring, it's a goal for everyone to aspire to be accepted into the show. And it's not always easy. And this year was no exception to that. We do ask jurors to come look at the work who don't know the students. They're not part of Plymouth State. And so they're very objective, and they bring their own ideas about art and what they're expecting to see. But we're very careful in making selections of jurors so that they understand the student perspective and they have experience in the field. So this year, we're very pleased and proud to have two exceptional jurors. One was Samantha Cataldo, who is the curator of contemporary art at the Currier Museum of Art in Manchester, New Hampshire. An amazing, amazing curator. Really, she was fantastic to work with. And the other juror is Kim Bernard, who is an amazing artist. She does a lot of sculpture. Currently, she's been all different media in her career, and she also has been an educator at the college level and and a mentor to many artists, emerging artists herself. So really wonderful jurors who sifted through all of the submitted arts and made selections. So as I said, this represents the whole trajectory of art at Plymouth State. So we have groupings of very beginner level art all the way to the most experienced and seniors or people who have been making art throughout their college career. So it always has everything. And that's what I really love about it. It's great to have everything mixed together. It also, in any media, is possible to submit to the show. So every year we usually get a mix. It depends every year what happens. This has obviously been a weird year. And so the show being mostly as an online experience for the public and for most of you, that's a super big challenge. But the show is open in the museum to anyone with a Plymouth State ID. And so that's what we've been promoting. And we're really glad to have both of those experiences available. So this evening, we are going to be, first, we're going to show a video that our new MWM student videographer has made about the show, which is a wonderful experience of the show. And then Ivy Pratola is going to introduce a fun way to interact with the exhibit as I scroll through our website, so we can get a chance to see all the artwork, and then we'll have all these images in our mind and we can begin to have a conversation. And Ivy will be leading that. I'll explain that in just a few minutes. The chat function will be the place to put any questions or comments, which is open to put anything that you like in there as we go. Rebecca will be curating those questions when we get to the question part. So definitely put in anything that you'd like there. It'll be great for the artists to feel not only the questions, but also just the comments, and the encouragement will be wonderful. So the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to show this video. Hopefully I will do this correctly. So I'm going to be sharing my screen. Sorry. Oh, there it is. Okay. And I'll make it big and okay, oops. I hope that worked. So fun, really wonderful video that Steve made for us. Now that we've got a flavor of what we are going to be talking about, I'd like to introduce this year's MWM Student Assistant Curator, Ivy Pratola, who has worked on this exhibit from the beginning, and will tell you about our next step this evening. Ivy?
Hi, everyone. For those that don't know me, my name is Ivy, and I'm the Student Assistant Curator, like Cynthia said. I put in the chat earlier a link to a YouTube playlist. If everyone can see it, I'm not sure. I'll send it again. But I asked all of the artists if there were any specific songs or sounds that went along with their works. And this is the list that I put together. In the description of the playlist, there's every artist's name with the song that correlates with their piece. So yeah.
So our idea is that I am going to scroll through I'm going to share my screen and scroll through the website, and it will be up to you to click that playlist. Is that right, Ivy? So
yeah,
up to each person.
You don't necessarily need to play along like with every piece, but where there's pieces that have correlating sounds, you can press play on your own, if that makes sense.
Everybody all right with that, or does anyone have questions? Sound okay? Okay, and so the idea is that I'll scroll through the website, I'll share my screen again and scroll through the website kind of slowly, and then in about, what do you say, Ivy, it's about 5 minutes, and then you'll take it back over, right?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Perfect, all right, here we go. Where's that?
Hey, Cynthia, could you
Yeah.
talk maybe a little bit about the different levels as you're scrolling through?
Oh, you're right. That's a good
Would be helpful.
suggestion.
Mhm.
So here we are in level, what am I in? Level C. Yeah. So level A is usually our very beginner. And actually this year we had no submissions for the very beginner artists, which has to do with how this year has just been weird. So each level kind of correlates with a class and kind of kind of a grouping of years of experience in the art department. So level C is usually somewhere around sophomore or junior year. That depends on the media. Every year we don't know how many we're going to have from each level. It's always a bit of a surprise. Yeah, oh, that's great. So. It's always hard to show in a digital experience the sizes or how the works work next to each other. So it's not a substitute for visiting them in person, but we're hoping that this gives a flavor and celebrates the work. All right, now here we go to level D. These are usually advanced students. This is a wonderfully large drawing. Okay. And then level E is work that is made outside of classes. So these are made independent of classes. And so there's always a variety of levels in level E. And what I love about it is it brings you can see the students' passion, their passion projects in this level, which is always great. All right. All right. So it's hard not to spend a ton of time on each one, but we're just giving a flavor so we can begin to talk about them. So I don't know, Ivy, if you want me to keep this screen up to be able to talk, or do you want to have people be able to see their faces maybe, huh? I think you're muted.
Yeah, sorry about that. Maybe we go back to the gallery view.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Ivy, take it away. Take it away.
All right. So Catherine Anderson, she was the best in level B. Carissa Roberts was best in show with Bad Omen. Caitlin Robichaux Hall, I hope I'm saying your last names correctly, so please correct me if I'm wrong, was the best in level B, and Gwen Holt earned the Jury's Award for Worms Getty, and Ursula Holt was the best in level D. So congratulations to everyone. And everyone who submitted, congratulations to you as well. But I'm gonna start by asking Gwen some questions about Worms Getty and just all of her work kind of in general. So Gwen, if you wanna unmute yourself. I can't find you. Sorry about that. All of your pieces are so colorful and detail oriented. It's almost like you bring life back into essentially like dead things. Can you kind of talk about that and your process? Oh, you can't unmute yourself.
Oh, Rebecca, Can you make that possible? Thank you.
Okay. So I focus a lot in my work on like typically gross or disturbing things just because it's something that I'm very fascinated in, and I've been fascinated in for a while. So it wasn't until this year that I started focusing in on bringing life back into dead things. And I absolutely love color, and I end up like saturating them even more than like what the color actually is in real life, just because I love it so much. And I think that with my use of color, I bring that life back into the forms, and I try and make dead things look less gruesome and try and change the audience's perspective on gross things, because life is beautiful, but death is also a part of life. And I think that death is equally as important as life. And I want to represent that in like a beautiful way instead of a scary way. And in other works, I try and make things more gross. Like my worm sketty, I purposely compared spaghetti and worms because they are very similar in forms. And then it will just make you question like, like, do I want to eat this spaghetti now that it's compared to worms? Or is it something more interesting now? Like, I just like making the audience question what's beautiful, like what traditional beauty is, and like what's really gross. And I don't know, I like contradicting elements like that. So that's why I combined like the worms and the spaghetti specifically, was to create a gross sort of reaction. But the bird piece, it was a dead bird that I found in the woods, and I wanted to bring life back into that. So I made it more like a peaceful color palette, more calming, almost heavenly like. It's really all based on my colors and my compositions, really. So yeah, that's what my work's about.
Thank you so much. That's awesome. I was not expecting like that big of an answer, but thank you. Since you're right next to Ursula, I'm just gonna go right along and ask Ursula her question. So after looking through like your portfolio on Instagram of all your work that you've done this semester, you really like these like big monotypes. Can you kind of talk about that?
Basically what started me out was I was experimenting with small animal portraits, and I've always been fascinated with animals, and I feel like they're kind of like taken for granted because like us humans, we think that just because we're physically bigger than other things means that we're more superior. So I really wanted to take that into account and make all the animals that would normally be regular size extra big, which makes us humans feel small, and like it gives the animals really a chance to like feel that superiority and feel that authority that we carry just as humans towards other creatures.
Yeah, I mean, this picture does not do like what's on the wall justice at all. Like it is massive. Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, I think it's like 5 feet by 5 feet.
Yeah, it's awesome. Who else? So Carissa Roberts, you had 3 pieces in the show, if I'm correct. Bad Omen, Braided, and The Flowers, and all of these pieces are so different. But which one was your favorite, and which one was the most challenging, like for you?
I'd say the Raven is my favorite and the most challenging because it took so long to do, and I was going for that more graphic style, so getting all the lines, you know, smooth and perfect, and getting the perspective right was also kind of difficult, but I'm so happy with how it came out that it was all worth it.
Thank you so much. Catherine Anderson, I'm not sure if she's here right now. I don't think that she is, but okay. Caitlin?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm here.
Untitled. This one has like a lot of different elements. There's like a couple different like trees and colors and almost like berry looking things. Can you kind of talk about the inspiration behind this?
Yeah, so for this piece, the prompt was based off of choosing an artist that we respect. And so I chose Robert Kushner because I love his colors and his, I don't know, he uses a lot of flowers. And so I usually work in really heavy, rich colors, usually in oil paint. But for this piece, I used acrylic because I wanted to work with those brighter colors. And I also never usually work with flowers. So I thought this was a really fun piece to do because I just got to do whatever I wanted with flowers. And so I have 3 different types of flowers in here. I have apple blossoms, which are the ones on the tree, an orchid, which is on the right, and primrose lilac, which is just yellow lilac. And so I chose these flowers mostly just because I love apple blossoms. They're my favorite. I chose the orchid because I actually have an orchid that is dying right now and I feel really bad about it. So I decided to represent it in my piece. And I asked around all my friends what their favorite flowers were, and the majority chose lilac. So I put that in there too as well.
Caitlin, can you talk about the panels and the size?
Oh, yes. So I am working at home right now because of COVID. And so I was working in the fall semester as well. So I was running out of canvases to use. And these canvases, they're 1 foot by 3 feet. And my mom actually got them for me about 2 years ago. And because she wanted me to paint her a painting, and I had never gotten around to it. And so I decided that, you know, this would be a really good piece to use. Because I wanted to do something more dynamic because I've been using rectangles for the majority of all my paintings. So I wanted to make a different shape.
Thank you.
Does anyone have like any artist specific questions? If you do, you can raise your hand and we can unmute you. All right, well, I have some more questions. Cynthia, should I just keep?
Go for it, Ivy. Yeah, you're in charge.
Since Kevin Thomas is in my top view screen, he had a sculpture piece in the show, and on the back of the sculpture, there's like some writing etched in. Do you know what I'm talking about? Or do you want to talk about what that says? I don't know if I can unmute Rebecca.
Oh, sorry about that. That was a script of the story, and yeah, I should have posted that link about the document. But anyway, it's a story about a wolf in the moon, basically. So that's where I originally got the idea from, and then I thought, try this with ceramics, since I put more R's onto that project compared to my other projects. But also, it also symbolizes, the wolf and moon symbolizes like the winter solstice, representing new beginnings and conquering the light over darkness as days grow longer. So that's the whole story behind it. That's why you see like the effects of it look like mystical, like letter patterns, and also, secretly enough, those two were lovers before they got tricked. So that's how it went.
Mm.
Yeah, dicey. So
Did you think to have the script, so you've etched into the actual work, and do you have the actual script that could go next to it, or no?
yeah, I mean, they said they said to drop off the artwork. So I was like, okay, the one script. They're like, nah, I'm good. I was like, oh, okay.
Well, it's always a good question, when you're working with text in your work, is how, how the artist sees it as important to the actual experience of the work. Do you want to let people discover that themselves, which is totally valid, or do you want them to read and then look? I mean, we all have our different ways of dealing with that. So
I could say I have it on my Instagram written down. I can say it right now and tell it.
no, it's fine. It's up to you. It's just, I wanted to ask how you were feeling about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine before we got the glazing into it, and I was like, oh, I understand what it says, but the question was, does people still understand it? So,
yeah.
So
Very
I'll
good.
say it now. So, okay, the question is, okay, why is the moon lonely? Because she used to have a lover, the wolf, which they lived together in the spirit world together and wander the skies together. But one of the spirits were jealous. There was a trickster who wanted the moon all for himself. The wolf was told about a beautiful flower by a stranger in a different realm. The spirit crossed over to our world to retrieve the flower. But what he didn't know was the wolf couldn't come back to the spirit world. So realized he was tricked by the trickster, who was a stranger this whole entire time. For many full moons gone by, the wolf will go to the highest peak of a mountain and howl to his lover for a very long time. And that's it.
Awesome. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing.
Yeah.
No problem. That fixes everything.
Okay. Amy Casey, since I see you up here. Meditation 6 was the piece that you submitted. And I was just wondering if meditation and like mindfulness is something that you kind of pull into your work and like pull from. Oh, crap.
Definitely. So the series that I'm doing, this is part of a series. So pre-COVID, I was working as a massage therapist in a place that had flotation tanks. And I started doing flotation meditation, and I worked my way up to doing 90 minutes once a week. And so what happened was I started seeing it's like a field of color and light and, this swirling. So this is sort of me painting that, what I I don't want to forget it. And I do it in sort of like a Zen meditation kind of style while I'm painting also. So, yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. That actually, the idea of you floating in that tank totally makes me see this in a different light now. It's really cool. I mean, it enriches my experience. That's very cool. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Let's find. Is Olivia Smith here?
I think so. I saw her earlier.
Okay. So your piece Picnic, this is one of my favorite pieces in the show. It's so colorful and it's so interesting and almost like this modern, like, I don't know, it reminds me of like an Instagram, like graphic design art type thing, but it's painted. It's just really impressive. But what was your main source of inspiration? And is there kind of like a deeper meaning that you wanted people to allude to when they thought of it or when they see it and interact?
So I was taking this class called Sex and Cinema. I think a lot of us have taken that class. It was one of the gen eds that just looked really, really interesting. And so it was really inspiring me, like all the concept of the male gaze and just the objectification of women in all media. And so I just wanted to paint about it because I had to come up with something on my own. And so that was just like what I was thinking about at the time. But when I started the process, I was actually thinking about like something totally different. I was thinking about like suppressed desires and all this complicated stuff. But I started narrowing it down to all these little things like how the female body is often compared to like a specific thing like food. And I was thinking about all those like body type quizzes, like where we're compared to like apples, pears, just, or like adjectives to describe food that are also used to describe the female body. And in the end, I think I just wanted to comment on the fact that like we so often compare the female body to something that's consumable. And I think I wanted this painting to be shown in like a couple different lights. I asked a bunch of people to interpret it on their own, and I feel like it was kind of half and half. A lot of people felt objectification right away, and it was pretty obvious to them. But then the other half was kind of like, oh, it's really pretty or desirable, like I want to be at that picnic. And so like I personally tend to see the problematic side of everything, but I can still look at this and feel like joy and see the beauty in it. So I think I want people to recognize all the interpretations and then apply that like whenever they're looking at this sort of imagery in any media, I guess. So yeah. Thank you.
That was really well said, Olivia. Nice job.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's so awesome. It's super powerful, like Amy said. Okay. Is Molly Kierwin here? I don't think so. Okay. Madison Stewart, I think I just saw her name. No. Okay. Is Casey Stanley here?
I think Cassie emailed me that she could not be here this evening.
Okay. Is Lillian here? Okay. Well, that's all I have for questions. Thank you all so much. This has been really great.
Great. Rebecca, do we have questions in the chat that we should address?
I am not seeing any questions in the chat right now, just lots of wonderful comments. So all the artists should definitely check that out.
Definitely. Oh, it's so appreciated. I think that's part of the thing that we wanted to be able to make happen tonight, is because we just don't have that, you know, time to be together and say, just this is amazing. So kudos to all artists. This is just wonderful work and very well spoken. Nice job, Ivy. Those questions were great and really helped us to see into each of these artists' thinking, which is kind of the whole point. So really great job, everybody. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. Thank you, artists. Bravo. Big round of applause, virtual, whatever. Nice job. Nice job. And thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for giving your time to share your comments about your work. That's so important. And I certainly enjoyed it. So thank you, Ivy. Great work. Thank you, Rebecca. And we'll see you at the next one. Thanks, everyone, for being here.